Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Cdale Enick, and you are listening to the Stones and Bones podcast. Now, this one is going to be exciting, but especially in the United States. This one is possibly one of the most popular, especially in Native American cultures, especially across the United States and across the board. Getting into Mexico and getting into those cultures as well. And this one is going to be a little extensive. I've tried to get as much information as I could in the time that I had. I've been trying to get back to work on a lot of my things. I've been catching up on a lot of my editing, a lot of my video editing, audio editing, getting back to social medias, also researching different techniques and things of that nature. If you guys don't know, I'm also a social media marketer, and I gotta stay up to date on those things, especially with new things coming out, new things rolling out in 2020, especially in the summertime. And I am trying to get back to my groove. So if you guys notice that we're going to be releasing these podcasts at different times, and I'm going to be seeing which days do better, because if you guys don't know, I have another podcast called Fallen Hour Radio, and we're actually trying to find that place in the week as well as the time. And also with the Stones Bones podcast, I'm trying to find a good place for this in the week, especially with editing and how much time goes into editing, and a good time for. So what I'm trying to say is basically trying to get on a schedule of doing my editing and releasing videos, research, and things of that nature, and connecting with you guys on Facebook. And that being said, this is one of the ones that came up, especially in the last week, because I work in the Stones Bones Rock Shop every Saturday, and I help Crystal out in the shop, and just so she's not overwhelmed, because there's actually quite a bit more people coming in on Saturdays. And one of the ones that popped up in question-wise was Obsidian. Is actually a woman coming in and asking about which stone does best with anxiety, which stone does best with negative energy, things of that nature. And this is one of the central themes of the Stones Bones podcast, is to try to answer those questions so you guys have a better understanding of what you're looking for, especially when you're going to the website and things of that nature. So if you guys are out there listening on the podcasting platforms, make sure you search stones-bones.com, and you'll be able to shop from home. So if you guys aren't going out into public, you guys are social distancing, you're staying home, you're staying safe, make sure you visit stones-bones.com, and we'll be able to ship these items to you safely. And we're taking precautions, Crystal's taking precautions in the shop as well, of staying sanitary and things of that nature. So if you guys are also looking to shop online and you guys are liking what you see, make sure you comment on the video, make sure you inbox the page, and point out what you want, whether it's on the table, because we're not updating the website as of yet. We're actually trying to get more people to get on the website and purchase more items and things of that nature. So if you guys want to help out, make sure you search stones-bones.com and pick something up. Pick something up for yourself. Pick something up for a friend, a loved one, especially if they're into metaphysical properties and things of that nature. Really strange time, and I hope that something like this actually takes your mind off of it. You guys can learn about something cool and things of that nature. So if you guys are watching me on Facebook, make sure you search stones-bones.com. Make sure you guys visit me on the go, also on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, at Stones and Bones Podcast. And if you guys are listening to me on the podcasting platforms, make sure you search Stones and Bones Billings on Facebook and Stones and Bones Billings on YouTube, and watch the video version of this podcast. If you guys can't find me there, search stones-bones.com. So today I'm talking about Obsidian. And if you guys are also on Facebook, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel at Stones and Bones Billings. It'll help out a lot. So we were talking about Obsidian today. And like I said, this is one of the ones that comes up quite a lot, especially now I do a lot of art pieces and things of that nature. We actually set up at these local art events, and we actually haven't set up in one probably in the past couple of years. Actually last year, Christmas time. And but one of the things I like to do is especially bring items from the Stones and Bones rock shop down to these art events and just showcase the items and give people a rundown of what certain stones on the table. And because especially to myself, this was one of the coolest things to get into, because I had no idea that there was a mass majority of different healing properties in certain stones. And I remember growing up as a kid, actually being in school, and someone bringing in, now that it came to my remembrance actually yesterday, of somebody bringing into my school when I was a kid, of this guy brought in I believe it was amethyst and some other geodes into our classroom. It was the coolest thing in the world. And I've always wanted to get my hands on a piece like that, like a really cool piece that has, like, you take it apart like a geode and it has all these crystals inside, amethyst and things of that nature. And it's just a really, really cool thing to get into. And especially, this is one of the ones on the table at these art events of people asking about and really excited to see that there's obsidian there. Obsidian arrowheads and things of that nature. Especially, they also have these in the rock shop of obsidian arrowhead. I'll give you guys a rundown of what obsidian is, because it technically isn't a stone. It's actually a form of glass. And obsidian is a natural volcanic glass. Obsidian forms from lava extruding from a volcano, cools at a very rapid rate with little crystalline growth, which makes this more of a glass. And I'll get into actually how this can actually turn into what is attributed to, or what is deemed as, a stone as well. I actually have a couple pieces on the table. I have pieces from Guadalajara, green obsidian, and this is one of the ones that is like almost taboo to certain people, because it's like you got to be careful of what you buy from certain people and things of that nature. So we actually have real green obsidian on the table. And all rocks consist of crystalline minerals, allowing to break in a certain manner. Obsidian, on the other hand, breaks into a conchital fractal due to mostly absent mineral crystals. The smooth curved type of fracture made obsidian have mechanical advantage other rocks failed to produce. And this was one of the biggest things, especially Native American cultures, is actually finding this, actually discovering this themselves in these Native American cultures, of how this rock could be used, especially in tools and scraping tools and things of that nature, especially being with some fractures razor sharp. It's no wonder obsidian was used for tools in the Stone Age, and it's really actually kind of hard to find, especially with people who go out there and look for rocks, and scientists and things of that nature, of trying to find an obsidian piece more than 20 million years old, or more than 20,000 years old, something like that. Because that these were mined extensively, and there's actually obsidian is one of those stones that is kind of young, because when it sits too long, it actually starts attributing crystalline structures and turning into basically what is essentially a stone and a rock, and not a form of volcanic glass. And obsidian consists of around 70% or more of silicon dioxide, or silica for short. It is chemically similar to granite or rhyolite. Both were also molten lava. And this is actually one of the things, is because obsidian is not made up of mineral crystals as primary genetic makeup, it is technically a congeal liquid and not stone. Although over time, obsidian can change into what is known as a rock over time in a process called, you gotta forgive me for this, another big word coming at you, another process called devitrification. Devitrification. I hope I'm saying that right. I'm always telling people that I've had scholarships for writing. I've won a nationwide writing scholarships, statewide writing scholarships, and today's day and age, especially with texting and things of that nature, it's kind of slowed me down a little bit, especially with writing. And just a really weird thing to me. But Native Americans were responsible for finding most of the obsidian in the United States. Obsidian was used as tools and trading options, which would be like a currency to different tribes, tribe to tribe. Sharp obsidian can be razor sharp. It was fashioned into arrowheads, knives, spear points, and scrapers. And this is one of the ones that is attributed to Native American cultures. Now, I know we've been on kind of a pattern. We're actually getting into different cultures. Most of the cultures we got into were like the Roman cultures, the Greek cultures, the Egyptians, the Assyrians, Chinese cultures, and we've actually just now started to dip into Native American cultures, especially with the turquoise and now obsidian. And this is one of the ones that was sought after. And being a hardness scale of a 5.5 compared to something like a quartz, it's kind of interesting to see that they were actually using these for tools, especially with scraping, arrowheads and spear points of hunting and going into battle and things of that nature. Making this stone one of the ones that's sought after, especially for its healing properties, attributed to Native American culture, attributed to when you get into Aztec culture, Mexican cultures, and things of that nature. It was also used by a Native American tribe as a mirror. There are telescopes which use this method for magnification, thanks to Native American cultures and Native American discovery of reflection. Tribes also use pyrite as a mirror, tablet C. People in ancient Mexico may have, I believe this is actually one of the ones that actually came out of ancient Mexico too, is actually they used pyrite, I believe. I believe it was that culture, was Mexican culture was using pyrite tablets and things of that nature for reflective properties and using them as jewelry, and things of that nature. So this is actually one of the ones that is huge in the Mexican culture and huge in, especially when you're researching Aztec cultures. This is one of the ones that was attributed to also a deity, and I'll get to that right now. Tezcatlipoca, and I'm hoping I'm saying that right. If you guys are into this, and if you guys know about this deity, make sure you guys correct me on this. And he is a smoking mirror, and that's actually what his name means, is smoking mirror. And this is actually discovered in their culture as well, of being a reflective rock. Tezcatlipoca is an ancient Aztec deity. He is the god of the nocturnal sky, god of the ancestral memory, god of time, and the lord of the north. He's also said to be the embodiment of change through conflict. He could be both helpful and destructive. It is now that that statement, he could be more helpful and destructive, was actually attributed to how he was also the god of the sun. So in their cultures, he could be helpful into helping you grow your crops, helping you prosper, or he can be destructive in terms of bringing droughts and drying up your crops and things of that nature. It is legends like this that give obsidian sought after attributes for healing stone. In combination with other Native American cultures, obsidian gains its healing properties such as protection or rooting out of negative or being a negative energy, or being a stone to combat conflict. Especially getting into the Aztec deity Tezcatlipoca. He was one of those ones that you wanted to go to, especially for conflict. And this is actually one of the things that were attributed to him, and especially attributed to the stone. He was also the god of the sun. He could help your crops or place the Aztecs in extreme drought. He was one of the four creator gods who arranged the universe and set the cosmic ages in order. And it's kind of cool to see, especially being in these cultures, that they had the calendars down to a T. And there was a calendar god and things of that nature. And actually, this deity's counterparts was actually one of the other ones that were actually able to create the earth and things of that nature. And this being attributed to Tezcatlipoca. There you go. And he was actually described as having a right foot. And depictions of him, especially in history, whether that's Aztec art pieces and things of that nature, when you go down to these monuments and things of that nature, especially in ancient Aztec, is they would depict him as having a right foot, whether that be a snake or a piece of obsidian. And just to show you how big and how important this stone is to that culture, is this stone was one of those ones that were just totally rooted into their stories, into their lore stories, into their culture stories, into their traditions. And it is still used as that today. Obsidian has many healing properties. It is said to absorb negative energy in your environment, draws out mental stress and tension. Also said to aid in helping you understand who you are and it explains your consciousness and helps change restrictive beliefs. And this is one of those ones that is high on the scale, especially for healing stones. Now you get into healing stones, and there are things you look for, like quartz. You look for a golden healer. You look for amethyst. You look for Himalayan salt rocks, and things of that nature. And especially also pyrite and fluorite and things of that nature. And this is one of the ones that is high on that scale for its healing properties, because of how it was used in culture and how it was rooted in culture and some of the meanings behind it. And it's a truly fascinating piece and to have in your collection. Now, I have some pieces on the table that I'll talk to you guys about. Now, these are actually made of obsidian. These are really, really cool. Well, this is actually obsidian sculptures, and these are also available in the Stones, Bones, and Rock Shop. And if you guys are watching and you guys want to see these, and you guys want to actually purchase these, make sure you write the page and point out left or right sculpture. Make sure you point out whether you want the green obsidian and things of that nature. Also have this really cool plate on the bottom, and that is a really cool piece and a really, really shiny piece. And this is actually made up of the same pieces as these ones. And I believe that these are helenite. There's actually a little spotty and really cool pieces. She actually sent me with quite a bit of obsidian, and also have an obsidian sphere that I believe Crystal made. Oh, actually, I don't think she made this one. This said it was from Mexico, but this kind of reminds me of almost like, because if you look at it up close, I'm not sure if I can show it on camera. There's no way that you guys can pick that up on camera, but it almost looks like an eye. And also, I was telling my wife, it reminds me of a Hercules, of the three witches, and they had this eye with them. This is actually kind of what it resembles to me. I hope you guys enjoyed the podcast, and make sure you stay tuned for more podcasts just like this. And I'm going to be going live also very, very soon. I'm not sure if I'll be able to go live with Obsidian. Might possibly go live if I have the time. I got to get back to editing this podcast and hopefully getting this out today. This is going to be a late podcast, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. And if you guys like podcasts coming out this late, this is actually somewhat of an accident putting this podcast out late. Really trying to get back to my groove on this whole thing of podcasting and things of that nature. That being said, I hope you guys are staying safe out there. Make sure you search stones-bones.com if you guys want to shop from home. Stay safe, stay healthy. My name is Cdale Enick, and you're listening to the Stones and Bones podcast.